Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
What's up, guys? Unofficial Star Wars here. Hope you're all doing well, and in this video we are continuing on a previous Ahsoka tease and inside look that we recently got from Rosario Dawson that we just discussed and talked about here on the channel in our previous video. If you haven't already, you're gonna go ahead and want to watch that video before watching this one. There's a lot of different things that we have learned for the Ahsoka show and to the regards of teases and insights for things that we can expect to see for the upcoming Disney Plus show. Guys, we're gonna go ahead and hop right on into it. In this video, we are taking a read from the Direct's article. I'll have their article linked in the description down below for you guys to check out there as well. As I just mentioned, we're continuing on from yesterday's video, and from where we left off with that of discussing about how the Ahsoka show is kind of a continuation of the Star Wars Rebels animated show. Rosario Dawson has quite a bit of things to say, a different number of teases to say about the Ahsoka show when comparing it to previous things in Star Wars like Clone Wars and also specifically Star Wars Rebels. With a little bit of a recap, she was discussing some of the storyboard work or animated previous work that Dave Filoni has done in preparation for the Ahsoka show, as she mentioned that, in quote, he brought that over from his animated work, but he wouldn't let us really watch it. So I haven't seen anything of Ahsoka either, but that's not surprising. It's a very weird project to be a part of, as it's one of the biggest things, so you're like, see nothing, say nothing. But Dave had it all down, and the different directors kept that connection. Ending that quote right there, Rosario Dawson's discussing and talking about how Dave Filoni orchestrated everything and organized everything really for the Ahsoka show into the regards of his storyboards and his different visions of what she says with that. As she had noted that Filoni's habit with previces came from his animation work, and that the filmmakers simply had it down while creating the show. She also had shared that on top of that, even the stars themselves of the show didn't have it all in advance, and that it was kind of something that was popping up as they went along and went on, because that's kind of the creation process of this universe, I really think here, as she says that also in quotes. So it was beautiful just to craft this thing as itself. It is a new part of the journey, but you don't need to know the previous part of it to get engaged, and that's one of the things I'm excited for people to see and experience. We get so excited when we were doing our table reads. We had it revealed to us episode by episode. We didn't have it all in advance, and then Dave used our voices from the table reads and put them in the previces that they watched. And that quote right there, she mentioned of how Dave Filoni and his storyboard techniques essentially are like these unrendered like animations, and how they took their voices from these table reads and integrated them into like these storyboard animations, which is so cool, and I would love to see those someday. Those are probably something that will hopefully, fingers crossed, be released here on YouTube or somewhere for us exclusively to watch, maybe in the gallery behind the scenes episode of Ahsoka on Disney Plus that they'll normally put out for like Mandoverse shows. Anyway, from there, continuing on, Rosario Dawson ended by stating how everyone behind the scenes had many test opportunities to see if Ahsoka would work for both the dedicated old school fans and the new ones. And I'd like to add in that Ahsoka isn't necessarily a show straight off the bat that you have to have seen other Star Wars shows for, specifically have seen everything from Clone Wars or Rebels, Tales of the Jedi. You can just go into the Ahsoka show having watched nothing. It's something that works on its own, although I would highly recommend that you have probably seen some of the seasons of The Mandalorian or the Book of Boba Fett. I would even say that those aren't necessarily required either. It's been heavily teased that it's something that works for both types of fans, for those diehard Star Wars fans, probably like you and me, that have seen every other thing in Star Wars, like the Clone Wars, Rebels, and everything in between, and for other people that have maybe seen like the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. As she says that in quote, so we had these little animated video game characters of ourselves on these sets that they were starting to design and build, and you would watch these mini episodes, so it was pretty remarkable. But they figured it out, and they had many test opportunities to figure out if it was gonna work for both the dedicated old school fans and the new. Ending that quote right there, essentially reiterating of what I just said there, of how like the story pans out and plays out the overall narrative with these storyboard animations, but then also mentioning of how like they had these little animated video game characters of themselves on the sets that they were kind of designing and building. I personally really think it shows to go like and show us like how far like the overall technology of like the film industry has really come, of where you're able to create and craft these like animated animated storyboards. That's my understanding of it. If I'm not correct about that, let me know in the comment section down below. But that is something that sounds pretty insane to think and see, that you would have like these mini episodes, like these mini recaps essentially of like the Ahsoka episodes. And as she had also mentioned, seeing how the Ahsoka show works for the old school fans, the ones that are highly dedicated, probably like you and me, and for the new ones that are flying in blind. With this here all being said, Ahsoka is for the old and the new fans. It's one of those projects that's very expansive. It's something that works for everybody. I don't really think that we've had a project like this before until like the first season of The Mandalorian or even The Force Awakens. Probably Andor too, but it's one of those projects that's something that you can just go in blindly to it. You don't have to have known anything else previously before with anything Star Wars. Many fans won't be surprised to hear that the creatives are aiming to make sure that this new content is accessible as possible for everybody to enjoy and understand, though there should be no doubt that being caught up on, in this case, Star Wars Rebels, would only increase the weight and the meaning of everything. This is something that we had recently discussed here on the channel in a separate video, discussing 3 things that I would highly recommend that you guys check out before the Ahsoka show, being Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels, and Tales of the Jedi, to understand the characters that we're going to be dealing with here in the Ahsoka show a little bit better. Those are highly recommended, but not necessary. The same could even be said of how the show's relationship to the Clone Wars or to the Mandalorian, which has been playing off of lore first established on the animated side of things for quite some time. If they have Clone Wars flashbacks for the Ahsoka show, fingers crossed that they do, it's something you'll be able to understand in the Ahsoka show, but it would be 10 times more enjoyable if you have seen the Clone Wars, or probably like you and me, have grown up on Clone Wars. This here all being said, next year's The Acolyte will be facing a similar question regarding its audience. The story will take place in the High Republic, new ground, at least in like the live action spectrum of things, or something that we've seen on screen. Of course, the High Republic era has been dealt with before in video games and in the comics and books, but despite that, the show will undoubtedly be accessible to a wider audience, just like Ahsoka. Though, with that said, going forward, it seems that Dave Filoni is positioning Ahsoka and her world as set up for his big Mandoverse crossover event film, a project that will almost certainly be a little less friendly to those who haven't watched anything prior. As it is said, unlike The Mandalorian Season 3, dealing with so many characters, that's now being transitioned over to Ahsoka as this new world-building show for the Mandoverse. Guys, let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in today's video in the comment section down below. What did you guys think? What do you guys want to see with the Ahsoka show? I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. I enjoyed reading your comments and discussing stuff with you guys down there, and also seeing your guys' comments on our Instagram page, Unofficial Star Wars, also linked in the description down below. Guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great one, guys. And of course, this has been Unofficial Star Wars. May the Force be with you as always. Peace out.